Have you ever trusted someone so deeply, only to later realize they were quietly working against you? Not everyone who smiles at you is a friend. And the truth is, the most dangerous enemy you'll ever face isn't the one who throws punches. It's the one who shakes your hand, while slowly digging your grave. This video isn't about fear. It's about awareness. Because when betrayal wears a friendly face, even the sharpest minds can miss the signs. Let's be honest. Most of us know how to deal with open hostility. When someone shows you they don't like you, your instincts kick in. You create distance. You protect yourself. But what about the people who don't show their hand? The ones who stand beside you, laugh with you, check in on you, and all the while, they're studying your every move, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. That's the danger most of us never prepare for. You see, not all enemies declare war. Some study quietly. They don't act out of impulse, they calculate. They wait. They blend into your world. A coworker who always knows a little too much about you. A friend who seems to take a sudden and intense interest in your life. Or even a family member who always seems to appear when you're at your weakest. And by the time you realize their true intentions, it's often too late. That's why this video matters. Because what you're about to hear isn't just theory, it's survival. You're going to discover 5 subtle signs that reveal when someone doesn't just dislike you. They want to destroy you, slowly, silently, and strategically. It's a different kind of threat. Not loud, not violent, but precise, calculated, dangerous. Think about it. Has someone ever made you feel uneasy for reasons you couldn't explain? Have you ever looked back and realized someone had slowly chipped away at your confidence? Your relationships? Your reputation? It's not paranoia if the signs are real. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Your mind will take the shape of what you frequently hold in thought." If you constantly convince yourself everything is fine, even when your gut says otherwise, you're not being strong. You're leaving yourself exposed. Strength is not ignoring danger. Strength is recognizing it early and acting before the damage is done. So ask yourself, do you truly know who's on your side, and who's just waiting for the moment you're most vulnerable? Because today, you're going to learn how to spot them before they strike. This could be the difference between living with awareness, or becoming another person who says, "I never saw it coming." Let's dive in. There's a reason the deadliest threats in life don't come with warning signs. You won't hear a scream. You won't see flashing red lights. Instead, you'll feel something subtle, a presence you can't quite explain. Someone who's always just there, close, but never crossing the line. They don't raise their voice. They don't start arguments, because they don't need to. They're not trying to intimidate you. They're watching you, quietly, constantly, and with purpose. We call them the silent observer. At first, it seems innocent, a familiar face at the gym, a stranger at your coffee shop. Again, you run into them too often to ignore it, but too casually to accuse them. Maybe they ask about your weekend, or they already know where you went, even though you never told anyone. How? Well, in today's world, they don't need to hack your phone to track your life. All they need is patience. Think about it. Your friends tag you in photos. A coworker casually mentions your favorite lunch spot. Your neighbor knows your work schedule. Piece by piece, they gather information until they have a full map of your life. It doesn't feel threatening, at least not at first. You might even convince yourself it's a coincidence. But over time, the pattern becomes too precise to ignore. Their timing is too perfect. Their presence too consistent. They know things they shouldn't. They appear where they don't belong. And deep down, you know, this isn't random. This is calculated. Let me tell you a story. Daniel had a routine. Morning coffee. Afternoon workout. Quiet walk home. Then he started noticing a man, Ryan. First at the gym. Then at his favorite cafe. Then at the grocery store. Always a few steps away. Always silent. And one night, Daniel spotted Ryan standing across the street, just watching. That's when it clicked. Ryan wasn't a friend. He wasn't a stranger. He was a threat, and he'd been studying Daniel for weeks. The silent observer doesn't rush. They don't act out of emotion. They act when the moment is perfect, when you're distracted, vulnerable, alone. And by then, it's often too late. So how do you protect yourself? First, trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Stoic wisdom reminds us that your mind shapes itself around what you allow it to believe. If you keep dismissing your own unease, you're training yourself to overlook real danger. Second, pay attention to patterns. Who keeps showing up where you are? Who knows too much about your life without you ever telling them? These aren't coincidences. They're signals. Finally, don't wait until it escalates. Awareness isn't paranoia. It's protection. In the end, it's not the loud threats you need to fear. It's the quiet ones. The ones who never speak a word, but never stop watching. Stay sharp, stay aware, and never ignore your intuition. It might just save you. Not all betrayals come with a knife in the back. Some slip in like a shadow. Soft, silent, and invisible until the damage is done. You don't hear them coming. You don't see them leave. But you feel it. The shift in how people treat you. One day you're respected. The next, you're isolated. And the worst part? You have no idea why. This is the quiet betrayal. It's not the dramatic betrayal we see in movies. It's not a shouting match or a slammed door. It's subtle, strategic, and dangerous. Because it doesn't attack your body, it attacks your reputation. It makes people doubt you. It erodes trust in whispers, not shouts. Let me tell you about Emily. She worked hard, showed up early, stayed late. Her team valued her, until they didn't. Suddenly, conversations stopped when she entered the room. Her ideas weren't welcomed like before. Her boss grew distant, and invitations? They stopped coming. At first, she blamed herself. Did she say something wrong? Was she too assertive? But over time, the pattern became clear. This wasn't random, it was intentional. Someone was working against her, not with direct confrontation, but through suggestion, distortion, and doubt. That's how quiet betrayal works. It doesn't need to fight you. It just needs to poison how others see you. One twisted comment, one innocent question. Is Emily always like that? Do you think she's really committed? That's all it takes. And the scary part? They often never get their hands dirty. They manipulate others into doing it for them. Coworkers, friends, even mentors become unknowing messengers of sabotage. But here's the truth, a Stoic truth. Your reputation can be attacked, but your character is untouchable. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know the truth." In a world where perception is currency, your integrity is your strongest armor. Live in a way that makes lies unbelievable. Let your actions be so consistent, so rooted in truth, that gossip can't take hold. So how do you protect yourself? First, hold on to who you are. Don't let outside opinions shape your inner worth. Reputation is fleeting. Character is forever. Second, observe without emotion. Be calm, not blind. If misunderstandings follow a certain person, pay attention. If conflicts grow around you without reason, look for the source. Stoics don't accuse without evidence, but they never ignore a pattern. Third, strengthen your inner circle. Surround yourself with those who see the real you. People who stand by you not because of what they've heard, but because of what they know. Seneca said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." Your tribe is your shield. In the end, betrayal doesn't need to shout to destroy, but it also doesn't have to succeed. Stay grounded, stay observant, and never let someone else's lie become the story you believe about yourself. Not every enemy stands in front of you. Some stand right beside you, smiling. They don't attack, they listen, they comfort, they say the right things. And slowly, they earn your trust. But behind that warm smile, there's a strategy. And by the time you see it, they already know your deepest thoughts, your plans, your fears. That's not friendship. That's infiltration. This is the mask of friendship, and it's one of the most dangerous betrayals you'll ever face. You see, a stranger can't hurt you deeply. But a friend knows exactly where to strike. Because you gave them the map. Take James, for example. When he started a new job, he met Daniel. Smart, helpful, kind. Daniel was always there, ready to lend an ear, share a joke, offer advice. Before long, they were close. James trusted him with everything, his goals, his struggles, even introduced him to his family. But then, strange things started happening. A private project James had poured months into was suddenly reassigned. Confidential details began circulating in the office. Details James had shared only with Daniel. When he confronted him, Daniel laughed it off. Just a misunderstanding, right? But James knew better. The damage was already done. That's the terrifying part about a false friend. They don't push, they pull. They don't demand your trust, they absorb it. And once they have it, they turn it into power. This isn't a mistake in judgment. It's a calculated move. The Stoics warned us about people like this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be wary of those who are too eager to stand by your side. For the man who needs to prove his loyalty is often the one most likely to betray you." Real loyalty doesn't need performance. It's quiet, consistent, earned over time. So how do you protect yourself? First, don't rush trust. A real friendship takes time to grow. If someone gets close too quickly, asks too many questions, wants to know everything about you, pause. Ask yourself why. Second, protect your inner world. Not everyone deserves access to your private thoughts. Epictetus taught, the more you reveal of yourself, the more power you give others to use it against you. Set boundaries. Hold something back. Your soul is not a public diary. Third, watch for shifts in energy. Does this friend support you, or subtly sow doubt? Do they lift you up, or make you second-guess your worth? And most of all, listen to your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. A true friend wants the best for you. A false one wants control. History is filled with betrayals from those who wore the mask of loyalty. Julius Caesar never saw Brutus coming. Neither will you, unless you learn to see past the smile. So stay grounded, move slowly, let people earn their way into your life. Because not every hand that reaches out to help is empty. Not every enemy is in a hurry. Some don't strike fast, they study. They wait. They smile, nod, support you, all while taking mental notes. And when the moment is right, they don't just knock you down. They collapse your entire foundation. This is the long game, and it's one of the most dangerous threats you'll ever face. Because you won't see it coming until it's already done. Let me tell you about Ethan. He was sharp, cautious, intuitive. He'd avoided trouble in the past because he knew how to read people. But then came Daniel, a co-worker, supportive, easygoing, reliable. Over the years, Daniel became Ethan's confidant. They shared stories, frustrations, dreams. Ethan opened up about his career plans, financial goals, even personal struggles. And Daniel listened, always listened. But here's what Ethan didn't know. Daniel wasn't building a friendship. He was building a strategy. One day, an important promotion Ethan had been working towards suddenly slipped through his fingers. Private issues he'd shared only with Daniel were now circulating through the office. He looked around and realized the damage had already been done. This is the true face of a patient enemy. They don't yell, they don't gossip, they build trust, not to support you, but to study you. Because time, to them, is not a constraint, it's a weapon. Here's the scary part. They often seem like the most thoughtful people in your life. They ask about your future, where you're going, what you're planning, who you trust, and it feels genuine, because they never show their hand. But they're not asking out of curiosity. They're collecting data. Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius warned us. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Meaning, people can hide their intentions, but not forever. Eventually, their true nature seeps through. But by then, if you weren't watching carefully, it might be too late. So how do you protect yourself from someone playing the long game? First, be mindful of intent. If someone is overly interested in your long-term goals or private life, pause. Not every question is harmless. Second, don't share everything. You can be kind without being an open book. Epictetus taught self-sufficiency, not because people are evil, but because wisdom begins with boundaries. Third, trust actions, not words. A true friend shows up over time, with consistency. But a patient enemy? They wait for you to let your guard down, and that's when they strike. So ask yourself, who in your life is always watching, always listening, but never revealing much about themselves? Who seems invested in your story, but too quiet in their own? Because when someone knows your plans, your fears, your patterns, they don't need force. They just need timing. In the end, the most dangerous enemies don't break your door down. They sit at your table. They earn your trust. And then, they take everything. Stay alert. Move slowly. And never confuse consistency with goodness, because even a shadow follows you every day. The truth is, the most dangerous people you'll ever encounter won't scream. They won't lash out. They won't make their intentions obvious. They'll smile. They'll blend in. They'll wear the perfect mask, and wait. That's what makes them so dangerous. They don't come at you head on. They come from the side. Through trust. Through silence. Through time. And unless you learn to see past appearances, you won't even know they were your enemy until they've already done the damage. But here's what matters most. You don't have to live in fear. You just have to live with awareness. Because when you can recognize the mask before it's too late, you take back your power. You move from being the target to being the one who saw it coming. So take a moment to ask yourself, who in your life feels off? Even if you can't explain why. Who always seems to know too much, show up too perfectly, ask too deeply? And have you been ignoring your own intuition, just to avoid being paranoid? This isn't about suspicion. It's about protection. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts are always focused on pleasing others, defending yourself, or second-guessing your instincts, you'll become someone who tolerates the wrong people. But if your thoughts are focused on clarity, boundaries, and truth, you'll become someone who can't be manipulated. Knowledge is your first weapon. But action, that's what keeps you safe. So here's what I want you to do next. First, save this video. These signs aren't just interesting, they could be life-changing. You might not need them today, but one day, something may feel off, and this will help you connect the dots. Second, watch the next video that just popped up on your screen. It's about covert narcissists, a personality type that shares many traits with the people we've been talking about. You'll learn how to spot their patterns, protect your energy, and avoid getting pulled into their games. And finally, stay sharp, stay aware, and most importantly, stay in control of your life. Because the world doesn't need more people walking around asleep, trusting too quickly, ignoring too often, and waking up only when it's too late. The world needs more of you. Awake, grounded, unshakable. So, if this resonated with you, leave a comment below and write, "I see clearly." Let it be a reminder, to yourself and to others, that you're no longer blind to hidden threats. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Because the more you learn to read people, the more you learn to protect your peace. And trust me, peace is worth protecting. I'll see you in the next one.